feel a bit silly adding this last piece, but just to paint you a picture. And maybe it's not a fair picture, I don't know. But I'm gonna use my pencils on this canvas, and she, I guess, won't get the chance, but I'm stalling because it's kind of whatever. There was a bunch of trash strewn about, bottles and all this stuff. And when Nia was tied up by the van and her dog came over the first time, I was picking up trash. I was cleaning up this area that by the way, there's beer there again from cars. There's beer cans there again, so it's the locals. I mean, obviously it's not the summer tourists here in January. I mean, now in January, it's not their trash. I'm sure they leave a lot of trash, but no, it's these kids that come by, smoke a joint in their car, play their music, drink their beer, and throw their beer cans out the window. So you're thinking, yeah, obviously Eris, that woman, she has a problem if we trust your account. The guy, because Eris, you didn't paint this picture, but I read your mind, and I know that that guy likes that woman. You know this stuff. You had ego and bid independently. Well, you didn't really understand that the ego was such a slave to the bid. You kind of just skipped to realizing that there was no ego. But Eris, how is this stuff upsetting you? How yeah, there are some people, everybody in all of our lives, we meet some people that we don't get along with. And that's it. And there are some stupid people in the world. All right, well, two things. One, it kind of seems to be everybody with me. And I know that some of it is me. Some of it is because of my style of communication, just the way that I am, that it upsets people. I had to let go of a student. Can't afford to, but also I will never be able to work that way. I had to let go of a student who was paying me good for the last year and a few months. She has been, I mean, when I say paying me good, I'm talking like 20, on average, maybe 20 euros a week. Okay. Not even. Okay. But more than any other student, because, I don't really have a lot of students. She was 70% of my, well, I don't know, maybe not. But she definitely, I spent more time with her than any other student. And I really liked her. And I think part of the problem was that she was actually, she liked me. She was talking about, for like the last year almost, for quite a while, she's been talking about coming and visiting me in Europe. She's back in Chicago, actually. I've never met her, but I haven't been in Chicago in years. But, so I'm helping her with her theses and her different papers for a master's program in anthropology, and it's been really cool in a lot of ways because I've been learning a bunch of stuff about anthropology. I've been able to help her, and the idea is that I would be able to support her as well. That's what I thought I was doing. But then over the last year, and we've had lots of times where I well, as she said, sometimes when I criticize too directly a sentence, the sentence doesn't fit at all in this paragraph. And it also doesn't match the outline that we had talked about. And then she says to me, yeah, well, actually, I was thinking about not doing that paragraph in the outline, but I know that I do need to mention this concept somewhere in my paper, so I put it there. And then I would say to her, but we can do that together after. First, write a nice, simple, organized essay, and then if we need to meet some other criteria, and we need to somehow cheat to do that because it doesn't really fit in your essay, we'll figure out a way to do that. But I read this last night, and I was confused as hell why this sentence was in there, or why this paragraph was in this section, even though it didn't match the outline. And it's always that. It's always that. And then, the plagiarism. The number of times where she would write something and I didn't understand it. Her English is not a first language. And by the way, this whole year I've been saying, can we also just do proper English classes? Because she's writing at the trying to write the academic level, but before, after, for, to, those things are hard. So, but I want to be there for you, but work with me. And so, all right, here's what would happen with the plagiarism thing. So she would have a few sentences, and I did not understand either a specific word choice, or I didn't understand the sentence or something. And so she would justify it for a little bit. And sometimes, by the way, and this is what was great about our relationship, is that she would stand her ground, but also, like, she would hear me. But if what she was hearing did not address the reason that she thought she was correct for doing a thing, she would stand her ground. And often enough, I would go, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. And so it was a really constructive, I thought, relationship conversations, where we were able to go back and forth and make progress on these points. So I could say, blank is not good. And then she goes, no, I think that it is good. But why? She says why, and I had said why I thought that it wasn't good, and she addresses that reason, and then we go back and forth a few times, and we resolve it. One of us goes, I see, okay, you're right. And it was just the most beautiful thing to me, because it's so rare to have that. Normally, humans don't want to go back and forth. If they do go back and forth, they're just stuck in whatever, not really engaging, and getting further and further away from being comfortable admitting wrong. And so it was so amazing all the number of times. I mean, I felt amazing because a bunch of times I would be like, no. And then, I see, blah, blah. And so it was just really cool, really reassuring to me that, because, these humans that when they go back and forth, they just get stuck. Well, they think that all other humans, including me, that I am in a battle like they feel like they are. And I'm not. I'm actually trying to understand. And so we never get to a point of understanding. And so because they project onto me this feeling that they have of needing to defend themselves or whatever, or needing to prove that they are right or whatever, they project that onto me. And because we never get to a resolution, the projection sticks. There's no counterproof. And so what I loved about these classes, and they're all recorded, is the number of times where I was able to be like, yeah, okay, Eris, those people are tripping, because when you go back and forth, it gets resolved. You end up seeing either your own error, or saying that, oh, maybe it's not important, or the other person sees their error. But most importantly, the first thing, that is, it's bullshit that you are what they say. So that was really cool. But let's get back to the plagiarism thing. So I would be really confused. And in the plagiarism examples, it would not be an instance often in which I was convinced. So here's what would happen. We would go back and forth, and I'd be like, no. I would hear her, and I didn't know. what are you trying to say here? Because this word, and also it just doesn't even follow from the previous sentence. It just doesn't make sense. And then here would be her final defense, her final justification, or her final argument. I'm going to share my screen with you and show you a paper that I was reading. Just I want to see what you think. And it's really just to see what you think. And I believe her. It wasn't to prove that she was right, really. It was to see what I thought about seeing that same sentence in someone else's paper. And maybe that would humble me. Maybe I'd be like, oh, here I am saying that in your paper, in her paper, this word or this sentence doesn't work. But here it is in this in this published article. So, hey, maybe I'm wrong. And consistently what would happen is, first of all, I would go plagiarism. Okay. But that I had accepted a long time ago. Except I had overestimated her English at the beginning because so much of it was plagiarized. And her accent's amazing. Or really good. So I thought she was just really good English. So there was, by the way, a period in our relationship where I was having to understand, anyway, like her English is not as good as, okay, anyway. So, I don't know what kind of example to give you. Like, for instance, there would be a sentence in an article saying that in this part of the world, blank was happening. Meanwhile, in Europe, it's in the US, but anyway, meanwhile on the East Coast, this was happening. So she would take that sentence, meanwhile on the East Coast, this was happening. And she'd put that in her section about the East Coast without having ever talked about anything else. And it's so silly because it's just like, that plagiarism can work if you just take out the word meanwhile. But I thought that there was some conceptual significance to the meanwhile. And so we'd spend 20 minutes with me trying to understand the purpose of meanwhile. For her to then show me, and I would see the purpose of meanwhile in the original article and go, well, that's what the problem is. And she goes, okay, yeah, we can just take it out. And then I go, we keep doing this. We keep doing this where you use language from another article and think that it works in your article. And that was frustrating. And there were behaviors that were frustrating. But I liked her. And I thought she was smart. And so on. Anyway. She felt often attacked, but would only half complain about it. She would say, no, I know how you are, and I know that you don't have bad intentions, and I know that you're just speaking literally about the thing. I know that, sometimes I just, because most humans don't sort of talk like that or aren't that direct, but, and I know it's not rational, but I, sometimes I just, no, I'm getting over it, blah, blah. And I believed her for the first few months. I thought that we were making progress. Then we didn't see each other for a couple of months, and then there's more of that energy of my criticizing something that needs to be fixed, or even my expressing. And it would be, when I express frustration, it would be constructive. I would be like, but we keep running into this issue where I don't understand what you wrote because you've written this like whole essay. Can we please do an outline first? And then if I understand what the outline is, then I will be able to sort of see past any confusing things in the written thing and just help tweak them. But right now, the way we do it right now, where you send me this essay, and I don't know what the intended structure is. You won't tell me when I ask you. You just kind of stare at me. Anyway, I just wanted to find some solutions. But, I have some energy when I talk. And Asians especially. one of my most confusing interactions is where I was discussing something with this Asian guy, and at some point he says, "But you're throwing a tantrum. Why are you getting so upset?" And I'm not mad at you. I mean, my volume's going up. I'm speaking quickly. I'm getting excited about the ideas. I disagree with you, but I'm explaining to you why, and I'm asking you questions that, yeah, I mean, it's not that though. It's just Asians especially. Asians especially. Look, I come from a loud family. I come from a family where we say things. My sister, well, I was an only child until I was 9, sort of. I mean, my half siblings didn't live there. So, and when I say my family, maybe I just mean my dad, really. He's a huge personality. Whoa. And so to live in that house, well, not only did I inherit that from him, but also that's what worked. You speak up. And I know that there have been, for instance, Latino women or Arab women who have complained about this. I know I'm not alone in this. And like coming from one culture where you express yourself a certain way, and then that being interpreted even without the autism thing. I mean, like, part of it is obviously the autism thing, but there is a part of it that's just about me coming from my dad, sort of black culture in general, and then the autism thing. So anyway, so Asians, okay, I shouldn't generalize, but I remember this guy from not Shanghai, what do you call it? Hong Kong. Which I guess you could say, oh, anyway. He was there. He was like, oh my gosh, why are you so mad at me? You don't have to get mad. And you could see that he wanted to like stand his ground and like become a warrior and stuff. And I had no idea and I'm like, no, everything's okay. I'm sorry, no. Be a warrior about what we're talking about. Like a truth-seeking warrior. You can be animated and all that, but don't cry. Don't. I mean, you can cry if you want to. Obviously, it's just. I just regret that's coming from me. That I triggered. That I slapped that. Anyway, so I couldn't do that. I can't do that anymore. I had a woman that I dated. I've had people in my life that knew I wasn't that knew that they were feeling harmed without my harming them, but they were still continuing to feel harmed. And the more I really understand how the brain works, the less sort of confused I am. I'm still shocked, but the less sort of confused I am when I don't want to cause displeasure. That's it. So, a few weeks ago, the student and I, we, and obviously there's a gender thing as well. I don't know. Anyway, this student and I, we had this one class, and at some point, I criticize. Sort of, I'm looking at the essay, and I'm looking for examples of something in particular, and I kind of mutter, I mean, like, why'd you put their full names here? Anyway, okay, here's an example of what I'm talking about. And so I moved on. She doesn't say anything. The next class, she says, hey, I just didn't appreciate that, like, there was the thing about the names thing. the full names thing. The reason I put the full names was because of blank, and you didn't even give me a chance to explain that. You just like assumed that I was wrong to do that, and just like just muttered something about it. Like you didn't even say it to me. You just muttered it. I hear you, but actually it was the opposite. I actually realized I was wrong, and that it wasn't relevant. Well, I didn't realize yet that I was wrong, but I realized that it might be a good idea that she put the full names there. And also, that's not what we're talking about right now, and I really need to drive the point home that we're talking about right now. So I muttered it. I didn't need to give you a chance to explain, because that wasn't what we needed to be doing right then. And two, I think it was occurring to me that I was wrong. And by the way, it has since definitely, I was wrong about that. It's very good that you put the full names. I'm not even sure why I thought that. So no, that was that was wrong of me. And in the moment, I was starting to realize that, and also that it wasn't relevant. So blah blah. I tried to explain that, and she says like, but it's not it's not a big deal. I know how you are, and I try not to take it personally. I'm like, whoa, there's no need to try not to take that personally, because that's not what happened. I did not mutter a categorical criticism of your thing. I didn't, actually. And also, there was no sort of disrespect where it was like categorical, and I'm not even going to give you a chance to respond or address it or acknowledge that you might also already understand that that's not useful there, that you might have some additional reason, blah, blah, blah. I'm just completely dismissing you like, what a joke for putting full names. Anyway, so she's like, I know, sometimes I need to blah, 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 to remind myself, blah, blah. We've been at this for a year now. This is no good. This is no good. So I started classes that were missed, that were canceled or rescheduled or whatever. I started refunding her for the first time in a year. We've canceled lots and lots and lots of classes. And usually I just return them to her so that she can reschedule them another time. But I'm trying to send a hint. So I refund those bad boys. She buys more classes this year, and this was because that was back in December. She buys more classes this year, and she's ready to talk about more essays. I'm like, yo, no, absolutely not. We have some real talking that we have to do, because you're not happy, and every time that I've suggested in the past, are there reassurances that I can say? Or maybe, can you tell me when you feel particularly attacked, and I can reassure you that I think you're wonderful, even if I don't think that this sentence or its placement is wonderful. And then also, anytime that I would, by the way, compliment her or reassure her, well, she would respond like an Asian girl. Sort of. I mean, she was, kind of not very, I think she has ADHD or something, which made it a little bit hard for her to be Asian. But, but still, and here's what was her favorite thing. Oh my gosh, stop being American. Because, people love to talk about how the U.S. are all like, you're so amazing, you're so wonderful, blah, 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 blah. And yes, that is what I'm like when I'm in customer service or in sales, yes. But after having criticized you for a couple of minutes here, not you, the paper, and then I sometimes would take it upon myself, take the initiative to compliment her or compliment something in the paper. And every single time she would reject it. Yeah, well, no, yeah is Korean, so they say yeah a lot in Korean, so the translation would be like, hey, So she would always do this cute little, hey, hey, stop being American. Or sometimes she just wouldn't respond. I'd say, did you hear what I just said? She'd go, yeah, you said that it was kind of good, that last paragraph. I said, nope, not what I said. I said it was really good. And then should we, whoa, what the fuck's going on? So anyway, so I was like, we need to talk. When I compliment you, you need to take that seriously. You need to repeat it back to me, maybe. If I criticize a sentence, we need to have some kind of affirmation that we do where we know that I'm not, first of all, criticizing all of your knowledge. I'm not saying that your entire brain was okay with that sentence and blah, blah, blah. And also, it might be that you just wanted me to help you with it. And that's okay too, kind of. So this is a sentence that I'm going to help you with. You may have very well known that it didn't fit there. But of course, sometimes she would want to defend herself, right? Because if I say this sentence doesn't fit here, she'd feel attacked as a person. And even if she knew that the sentence didn't fit there, which would sort of be revealed a little bit later, she would give reasons for sort of why it did fit, justify it. Because that's how the brain works. The elephant goes, yo, we're being attacked. We need to defend with whatever. The rider's not up there going, oh, wait, actually, we're not being attacked. The rider's like, okay, let's defend with this, that, and that. So we need to talk. We need to figure out maybe ways that I can phrase things differently. Things that I can actually do and learn. Maybe vocabulary I can use differently. I can certainly, I think I already do, but I can maybe avoid even more words like error or wrong or, whatever. But I think I can do more. I can always do more. We can do affirmations at beginning classes. I can do reassurances. I can phrase things more as questions, maybe. But the thing is, questions with her are hard because sometimes she just won't respond. Sometimes she just doesn't know how to respond in English. And I don't speak Korean. By the way, 6 months ago when I was like, hey, we spend a lot of time with me just trying to understand what your intentions are in the paper. Then we have to spend time with me helping you achieve those intentions. Wouldn't you be better off with like a Korean? Like someone like a Korean American? College student or grad student or whatever? Someone who you can just explain like that what you're thinking, and then they can help you like that, turn it into good English. She cried. So maybe now you're feeling a little bit convinced that, or maybe now you're a little bit understanding. Okay, great. And I could maybe go through an hour explanation or half an hour explanation for everyone. But maybe at some point you'd realize that we're human brains, and human brains are really quite shit. And part of the shitness is the fact that human brains don't realize that they're quite shit. So they defend and they're righteous, and that's why he chose the title The Righteous Mind. He explains that. I could have on page 19. I'm so embarrassed. I said 11 earlier, didn't I? So page 21. It was what I was reading from before about the elephant and rider. Anyway, page 19. Oh, gosh. Page 19. I could have titled this book The Moral Mind, to convey the sense that the human mind is designed to do morality. That's in quotations. To do morality. Just as it's designed to do language, sexuality, music, and many other things described in popular books reporting the latest scientific findings. But I chose the title The Righteous Mind to convey the sense that human nature is not just intrinsically moral, it's also intrinsically moralistic, critical, and judgmental. Oh, and that's another thing that only over the last year have I been working on refocusing a little bit on the positive things. It's sort of hard to do that when like you're being paid to help improve someone's essay, for the main thing to be like the positive things, and then the negative things are just sort of incidental, or the things where it could be more positive are just sort of incidental. It is harder to maintain that, and especially harder for me since I'm not good at that anyway. But in conversations, in situations, I've been working on, is there an emergency? Is there a major problem here? Because if there isn't, if I'm not dying, if you're not dying, then maybe everything's sort of okay. And then maybe only if we want to and have the time do we need to look at the issues. That's kind of hard to do when you're being paid to. I mean, I lowered my prices because I felt bad about how much time we were spending together, time where I wasn't helping her. I was just trying to understand. So I was going to slash my prices in half, but I was already close to the minimum that you're allowed on the website. So I just took it down to the minimum. Anyway, so we had a conversation. She bought an hour class for us to have a conversation. We go 40 minutes over, and then we do another, I think, hour on my Zoom account. And we talk about things, and I explain to her different possibilities. I shut down the whole, no, I know how you are. I'm just getting used to it. I just have to get used to it, blah, blah. It's been a year now. We're done with that. You almost every class, you seem to be insulted. That's no good. So we need to figure out a way where I'm not abusing you. She goes, you're not abusing me. I go, we're not going to discuss the semantics. We just need to figure out a way where that's not happening. And then she said she wanted to then move on. I was like, no, I just explained some stuff now. You're the boss. You need to figure out sort of what you need, or we need to just keep talking. You need to talk, because we need to know what you need, because you want me to keep being your teacher. Okay, but I can't keep being your teacher if you're unhappy. So we need to figure out what's needed. So she says, okay, I'm going to send you a summary of our conversation so far. I'm going to think really hard about the things that we talked about today. You told me about the its. You told me about PM, AM. Okay, I'm gonna be thinking about all that stuff, and I'm going to send you a summary. And so she sent me a summary. That was not by itself, and I'm just gonna pull up a conversation.